Lockout doesn't mean fast, people. It's almost like somebody's been saying that for a long time. What's that guy's name? Who's that guy again that's been saying don't use lockouts? I don't know, bike, come on. Hey everybody, I'm Mike Levy and we're in Mont Saint Anne, Quebec for our Downcountry field test. Now, we're here at the bike park, but I'm not riding a lift today. Behind me is another steep-ass fire road along with 6 of the latest and most interesting short travel bikes. And that can only mean one thing. We're here for everybody's favorite video, the efficiency test. Now, all of these bikes should feel pretty damn sporty, but we're here to find out which one feels the most sporty. To do that, I've got a set of Garmin power meter pedals, as well as a Garmin head unit and a set of Freelap cones. Now I'm gonna hold a steady wattage up that entire hill for each of these bikes. We're gonna find out how long it takes us, and that's gonna tell us which of these bikes is the most efficient. Now you guys also know the rules. All of these bikes are set up for my body weight. They're running the same tires as well, a set of specialized ground controls, and they're all inflated to the same tire pressure. And as with every efficiency test, this climb may only be 2 or 3 minutes long, but you gotta extrapolate that over a big race or a long day of riding. The differences that we're gonna see here are relatively small, but they add up over a big day in the saddle. So with that said, there's only one thing left to do. Let's get to it. All right. The very black Evil following is up next. Now, I don't exactly think of sporty climbing when I think of Evils, but who knows? I could be wrong. Let's find out. $244 for the Evil. Average watts, 301. Bike didn't feel terrible. It's a very upright position though, whereas the other faster bikes, the speedier looking bikes, definitely longer, lower, and feels like a little bit more natural to put down more power on those. This doesn't feel natural. Am I dying? Okay, next on the line, this is RSD's Wildcat. Now this is aluminum and it's also the bike with the most travel of the bunch. It's also the heaviest. Now, it doesn't exactly feel slow on the trail though, and that does not mean that it's inefficient. Let's find out what it does mean. It's 242 for the RSD. Position-wise, again, it feels similar to the Evil, like pretty upright compared to those other bikes. When we were on the trail with it, it feels like it has a ton of traction and it feels like it pedals pretty decent for what it is. It also feels heavy. But yeah, it feels pretty similar to the Evil, to be honest. I think a lot of riders would prefer something like this over something like the Allied or the Lapierre, but if you have to ride something like this every day to get to your trails, and if your trails aren't like super rowdy or you know, you just want a speedier bike, like there's a night and day difference between this thing, the Evil, and the Allied and the Lapierre. It's like night and day difference. Speaking of the Lapierre, I'm talking it up right now, but we got to figure out its time, so I'm going to do that one next. Wee, let's do it. $237. Man, that feels better than the other two, like more aggressive bikes. Just the position and the efficiency. This feels like the firmest bike here. The Allied is definitely a little more forgiving, and that might mean more traction in some places. But man, this freaking French Lapierre, it feels fast. It definitely gives a little bit rougher ride, and I can actually feel that on that loose fire road. It's really loose, it's really rough, really dusty. Traction, you know, you need it. And this bike felt like it had less traction than the Allied, the RSD, the Evil. Definitely same tire pressure, all that stuff. So that's something to note. All right, everybody, We've got Allied's BC40 here. Now this thing feels very sporty on the trail, but I gotta ride up this frying pan of a fire road climb under the sun, and we're gonna find out how sporty it feels then. There's nothing to it but to do it, so let's get started. So Tim Hortons up here, holy shit. 234 for the Allied, 302 watts, there you go. No one wants to live on a hill like that, but it feels like this bike could live on a hill like that. It's really loose. This thing is efficient feeling, but it's also really forgiving, much more than the Lapierre. I feel like I had good traction up that loose stuff at the bottom. Strangely though, I'm still tired. I don't know what that's about. I'm here again. 235, everybody. Feels fast. This thing in the Lapierre. What is the humidity level here, Max? Like 280%? You can't tell this on camera, but we're actually filming this underwater. That explains why I can't breathe. But it feels fast. This bike and the Lapierre, if I had to guess, they're gonna be the two quickest bikes up this terrible ass climb. $235 for the Ibis. Feels fast. Feels a lot like the Allied. Both this and the Allied definitely have more traction than the Lapierre on that loose stuff down there. I feel like the BMC leans more towards the Lapierre, to be honest. I don't even remember the times, to be honest with you guys. I'm just trying to think about how they feel, and the BMC definitely felt a little firmer, whereas that Allied had the quickest time at 234, but it also feels the most forgiving. When I'm pedaling the Allied and I look down, it looks quite active, but it always felt fast. And I feel like this confirms it. Like, lockout doesn't mean fast, people. It's almost like somebody's been saying that for a long time. What's that guy's name? Who's that guy again that's been saying don't use lockouts? All right, everybody, that is another efficiency test that is in the books. I'm not gonna say it was fun, but we got it done. That is a steep ass road here in Mont Saint Anne that we use. It is also pretty loose, and I think it really underlined how active suspension and traction could help you up that stuff. So our slowest bikes, the Evil and the RSD was 2 minutes and 42 seconds, and the Evil was 2 minutes 44 seconds. Now our quickest bikes, they were pretty much separated by only a second. The quickest was this Allied at 2 minutes and 34. Then you had the BMC at 235, the Ibis at 235, and the Lapierre at 237. So everything is pretty tight there. But on that loose stuff at the bottom, there's a big difference in feel. Like I was saying when Max was interviewing me up at the top, the Allied feels like it has more traction than the other bikes, and it is clearly not any slower. Okay, that is it for the efficiency test with these 6 downcountry bikes. Stay tuned for more videos from our downcountry field test here in Quebec.